Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skin, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We got ourselves a bye-week mailbag. We did a couple interviews last week, so my mailbag got pushed to this week. And I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad it happened today because Tyrod Taylor has been activated for his 21-day IR window, so we'll lead off with some Tyrod and DeVito stuff. Justin, how are you? How was your bye-week weekend?
Hey, Bobby Skinner. Yeah, by your bye weekend. It was good. It made me really excited for the final push of New York Giants football. Now the result of this Green Bay Packer game, Monday Night Football, national television, and we're going to be up late. It's going to determine how excited I will be for the rest of the season after the Packers game. But you want to know what? We're recording this Monday, December 4th. I'm excited for December 11th for us to be playing against Green Bay Packers on national television. I think we're playing them at the right time. They're too hot. And the Giants are too ignored, flying under the radar.
Flying under the radar. Before we get into this mailbag, this episode is brought to you by some special people. We got Jay Cho. Attaboy, Jay. Tyler Reed. That's Jaden Reed's brother.
How about Jalen?
Plays for the Packers.
Oh, I thought it was Jalen Reed.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Jaden Reed.
You're right.
He was actually in my midseason mock draft video last year, which is coming out this week. Maybe the most salacious one yet. Tony Diesio. He's Italian. He's going to be mad at our first question. There's no doubt. McBain. He's the McBain of my existence. And then Austin Westrom. He's not Eastrom. He's Westrom. Justin, who are these people?
These Western people went to patreon.com/talkgiants for $2 a month, plus some other tiers to get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail, plus a couple times a month, there's some shirt raffles. Patreon.com/talkgiants. Thanks to our patrons. And also, reminder, 7 days from now, it'll be 6 days by the time you're listening to this, 6 days from now, if you go to shop.johnboymedia.com and you click on JM Events, we're the only event that's listed because our tailgates are still happening. L16 on the curb. We had our free tailgate for the Patriots game, but we're back to charging $50. You get food and you also get alcohol, which honestly, I think if you're at the point where you're still going to Giants games and you're actually tailgating yourself, I actually may think it's cheaper just to, you know what, I'm not bringing food this week. I don't want to get there too early. I'm going to go to the Talking Giants tailgate, hang out a little bit, get my own food, get my own alcohol, and I don't have to pay separately for everything. So there you go. Buy tickets to our tailgate. That link is in our description.
Cheapest tailgate you could find, and also we do a free one every year too. No other tailgate does a free one, so check it out. Hey, Monday Night Football, you got to get there. You got to get there and get there early. You got to have the juice. All right, take it away, Steve.
Mail time.
The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
Oh, boy. First question. The pizza people are not going to be happy. At GPO Giants 1999, Tyrod or DeVito? Tyrod Taylor cleared. 21-day practice window is now open. If he is, I guess if he is going to come back and play, do we want Tyrod Taylor or Tommy DeVito?
Okay, so before we get into this, I am happy with what DeVito did, right? Considering the expectations. He did some good things. He pushed the ball down the field to Hyatt and was looking for those bigger plays, and I like that out of him.
And also, let me say this too before you start talking else. He also kind of saved the season in a way. He didn't, hey, Giants aren't playoff contenders. Vibes were really bad before Tommy DeVito came in here. I don't think vibes is a reason why Tommy DeVito should keep this starting job. But Tommy DeVito does deserve credit for the energy that he brought. And we were having frantic-ish conversations about, can this locker room be saved? And I think now we're at a point in the season where the locker room is in a good enough spot. They've won some games, even though it doesn't look pretty at all. Tommy DeVito did really help in that regard more than really anything that he kind of did on the field, right?
Well, I mean, he did create some explosive plays, right?
Yeah.
Like he pushed the ball down the field. That Commanders game, he operated the game plan for the most part pretty well. The issue is that, Tommy DeVito. Well, the Giants saved the season by winning games or save the vibes, right? The coaching staff, the players, because I think with Tyrod Taylor, they win both of these last games. So here's where I'm going to just be simple with it. Say whatever you want about touchdown to interception ratio or back-to-back wins, but Tyrod Taylor is simply a better QB than Tommy DeVito to me and truly every facet of the game, right? Despite the fact that DeVito has done some good things. I put up a fan poll. 65% thinks DeVito should start, but only 32%. I say only 32%, even though that's a high number, believe that he is better than Tyrod Taylor. Here's the thing is, I know that as like from the outside, hey, we want to see what we have in this guy. Like we want to see what we have in DeVito for next year. Well, Joe Shane already said that they're going to need a QB. So he's QB3 at best, unless you think Daniel Jones really isn't going to come back for week 1 from the injury, which I would bet that he will be. And even then, he'll be back at some point of the season and will be QB2 or QB1 if they don't draft a quarterback. They are also with him day in and day out. They get to see what they have in him a lot more than us who just are able to watch the games on Sunday, right? And like this coaching staff, Taylor's better than him in everything, right? You say, well, DeVito pushed the ball down the field. Well, Tyrod Taylor has the same amount of 20-plus yard completions on 18 less throws without the 2 interceptions. He attempts them at a 3% higher clip. Again, without playing the Commanders. He did play the Commanders, but playing a Commanders game plan, which was one of the worst I've seen, where they were simply just selling out to stop the run, leaving cats wide ass open. Like it was one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. And although the Giants are not making the playoffs, this coaching staff cannot look at these players in the eyes and say, we are not going to start the guy that we believe is better. And the locker room knows it, right? You heard Slayton dancing around it today in his the clip that came out from his press conference. That like, yeah, hey, DeVito's a rookie, of course, but Tyrod is their best option. So here's the thing. You cannot ignore 52 players and 23 coaches because fans want to root for an Italian and do fun celebration no matter how fun it was. And it is fun to root for Tommy DeVito, but you can't ignore all those players and start a lesser player.
Yeah, I said it a couple minutes before. I really think like Tommy DeVito's good enough quarterback play and good quarterback play for where the Giants offense is at right now. And where the Giants offense is at is in a really bad spot. And I think towards the entirety of the season, and I think even for the second half of the season, it's the Jets offense that's last, and then it's the Giants that are 31st, and then the Pats are, somewhere there too and really being bad.
Patriots are 32nd now, I think.
Yeah, and you know me, I like going by EPA, and it's the Giants and the Jets that are very, very close to each other. But sure, I mean I watch the Patriots with my eyes, and I do think the Giants offense is better. But it's those three offenses, and then there's the rest of the NFL in terms of just overall efficiency and scoring and everything like that. Actually, I mean Tyrod Taylor. I'm looking at a chart right now from Doug Analytics. Tyrod Taylor has a higher, I mean, they're about the same. They're like right at like in between 11 and 12%. Tyrod Taylor is slightly higher. So if that's the one thing that people are pointing at Tommy DeVito, well, he throws the ball downfield more and he has a higher explosive pass play rate. Tyrod Taylor is slightly higher. And I do think the offensive line is at a point now, as long as Andrew Thomas, I don't even want to say stays healthy. As long as Andrew Thomas's MCL doesn't completely tear, I think the offensive line is in the best spot that it's been all year round. And Tommy DeVito has done a good job of kind of taking advantage of it. But also, I mean, the sack rate is just jarring. I mean, Tyrod Taylor takes sacks at just higher than 10%, which is about average. Actually, no, it's a little bit above average. Daniel Jones took sacks at around a 16% rate. Tommy DeVito's close to 25%. A 25%, that's 1 out of every 4 dropbacks is a sack for Tommy DeVito. And a lot of it, we've talked about it over and over again, a lot of it is offensive line driven. So Tyrod Taylor, if he's producing the 20-plus yard plays at the same rate of Tommy DeVito, plus he's taking less than half the sacks, I get the argument of, Tommy DeVito's going to be on the team next year, Tyrod Taylor isn't. They're not thinking about that right now. There's not 2 games left. I mean, Bobby, is there 6 games left?
There's 5 games left. And here's the thing, the whole CM for next year. One, I actually think he would benefit from going back to the bench, right? Because here's where Tommy DeVito is his worst. And it plays into why he has sacked essentially twice as high as anyone in the NFL not named Daniel Jones. And again, still a wide margin higher than Daniel Jones as well, is that he does not operate quick game well or almost at all. And that turns into sacks and that turns into bad plays. And I think it's because he has no confidence in it, right? Quick game is not like the deep passes are not easier throws to make, but sometimes they're easier reads to make if you don't have confidence. Like, hey, I got a one-on-one, I'll take that, right? Where like, I'm telling you, if you have had time to watch the film reviews, and I don't blame anyone for not watching the film reviews right now, even though they're my favorite piece of content. It's simple stuff. Like, it's a slant flat. They're in man coverage. The flat route defender goes over the top of the slant, and he's just not throwing it. Like, just guys wide open and stuff. He's just not throwing it, and it's turning into sacks. And again, and those are drive-ending plays. He just has no confidence in it. And I actually think going back to the bench and practicing on that quick game type of stuff will help him long term, because guess what? He's being coached to not turn the ball over, right? And that's why he has no confidence in the quick game, because it's all about timing. Second too early, you're screwed. Second too late, you're screwed too, and it can lead to turnovers. And he just has no confidence in what he's seeing in that type of stuff. So go back and practice that quick game. We know he can do it. He did that at Illinois. And without the worrying of letting down an entire locker room. Right. Like losing a game for an entire locker room. Work on that stuff. Practice on that stuff. Like the idea that we got to see what we have for him for next year. He's QB3 at best next year. He's going to be with them. I don't
feel the need, right? I don't feel the need to see what we have. I feel very confident in Tommy DeVito. It's like, I think he should be QB3 heading into next year, and he should be competing for a backup quarterback spot on this roster. I feel very, depending on what the Giants do, I feel very confident in that heading into next year. I don't need to see
QB3. He's
anything
QB3.
Else.
He's QB3. Daniel Jones and whoever they bring in, whether that's a mid-round pick, whether that's a free agent, whether that's a first-round pick, he is quarterback 3 at best for next year. So you don't need to see him. You need to kind of protect him for going into next year. So it's just to me, Tyrod Taylor is a better player than him at every facet of the game. We didn't even mention the fact that running the ball and scrambling.
Right.
The only thing that DeVito has done better on paper has thrown more touchdowns.
Yeah, that's
which again is very fickle. Is not a way. Is if everything else points to one player except for just this one stat, which again touchdowns are important. Then I'm not saying like to me they're not even close. You could talk about team points per game, and you know that you're just looking for reasons to start DeVito. I think the coaching staff knows it, and I think they're going to start Tyrod Taylor. The idea that this coaching staff can just say, we got to see what we have for him next year is bullshit. They're not going to do that to this locker room, right? And I don't even want to bring, like, we'll talk about Wink in a second. Imagine if Daboll actually does want to, like, mend the bridges with Wink Martindale, and the issue, and then he goes, we just want to see what we have in Tommy DeVito. Like the defense, all the players, all the coaches know Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback. And to me, honestly, I really don't care about any argument against it, because nothing, film, stats, nothing points to that unless you want to go off, they won the last 2 games.
And it's a cool story.
Yeah. Which again, it is fun, right?
Yeah.
And
DeVito deserves
credit. It's been
credit.
a fun story, and I want it to continue, right? I want DeVito's preseason to be fun next year, and I want him to develop into a backup QB eventually. I think he can probably. I think he has a chance to do that, but I still don't think he's a backup QB, a good backup QB in the NFL. I don't think he's created like this 10-year career, despite the storyline that Tommy DeVito is. Like, I think we'll look back at that and look at this as a fun time, but we won't look back at, like, man, we'll look at one of the better backup QBs in the league in Tommy DeVito. I mean, do you have anything else on this? You just can't do this to this locker room to start a lesser player. And you can't do it to Tyrod either. Now, if Tyrod gets hurt, which he does a lot, DeVito will be right back in there. But I would not. I hope that DeVito never plays it down for the Giants again. Because I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think he's good enough to be a long-term backup. And I hope that we're never having our starter and backup injured again.
I'm going to be honest. I think DeVito plays this year. I think Tyrod Taylor's going to get hurt.
Yeah, then in case that obviously that's, but I'm talking like 2024 and beyond when I say that.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like I don't think he's more than a QB3 in the NFL, and I hope that we are never down our starting 2 QBs again. Like I don't feel like that's too much to ask for with injury luck, is not both of our quarterbacks being injured again.
Yeah, there's also a 10% difference in CPOE, completion percentage over expected. Tyrod Taylor being close to the top of the league at a little over 5%, and then Tommy DeVito close to the bottom of the league and just a little south or north of minus 5%. So Tyrod Taylor's just much more accurate with the ball as well. I mean, I feel like even if you're screaming at us saying you guys are so wrong, you guys are such idiots, I feel like even if you're saying that you know that the points that we're making are right, but you still just disagree with us, which is
the
totally
only
fine.
argument is we want to. He's younger. We want to see him, and to me, that's not an argument to ever start. Then we need to start Javarius Owens over Xavier McKinney.
Right? Yeah.
Should we start Trey Hawkins over Adoree Jackson?
No, we should not.
So let's go apply that to every position group in the NFL. And guess what? I actually think Javarius Owens and Trey Hawkins have much better chances at being players in the NFL than Tommy DeVito. So you could actually make the argument more so for guys like that.
Yeah.
There is not anything on film or numbers that points to Tommy DeVito being a better quarterback, and not even in one area of the game. Like not like, well, this area he's better. There's not a single area of the game, whether it's the quick game, whether it's the intermediate throws, whether it's the deep throws, whether it's the manipulating the pocket, whether it's running, and unless you want to quantify injuries, then yes, he is better at not getting injured so far than Tyrod Taylor. I will give you that.
Yeah. DeVito's a good story, and even if Tyrod Taylor comes back, I honestly don't think it's the last we will see of Tommy DeVito this year, because that's just how Tyrod Taylor's career goes, is that he plays 2 games, and then he has a sick play where he gets hurt on, and then that's it. And I think that'll be it for Tyrod Taylor. So,
yeah, if the Giants, obviously next year will be different because Daniel Jones will be on the roster. If the Giants ever do invest in backup QB like they did on Tyrod Taylor, let's make it a guy who's not injury prone.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question is coming from Di the Giant at NYG in Wales. What do you think of the Giants fans that are putting out letters of resignation on social media because you won't read an ad?
Ray, today's episode is sponsored by Shady Rays. It's the season of giving people Shady Rays. Give the perfect gift for a special someone. For their birthday, yourself, Hanukkah, whatever. Our friends at Shady Ray have you covered with premium polarized shades and quick swip snow goggles that won't break the bank. Also, give it to yourself, by the way. Treat yourself. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. And again, I love Shady Rays. Here's the thing. I'm a big believer in overpriced sunglasses is the biggest scam in maybe the world. What is a bigger scam than overpriced sunglasses? Because you can find pairs like Shady Rays for half the price, a quarter of the price. Also for snow goggles, if you're into winter sports, the quick swap snow lenses move effortlessly between full sun to low light environments. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out a very great deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code GIANTS for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. You'll be glad you did.
Wes Locke at Westy Westigles. If John Marin needs to repair relationship slash torch Daboll to keep Wink, would it be better to part ways or force a bad situation for the coaches? Did you see Ryan Dunleavy have a TV spot or something where he was on a Zoom call and he said that he would not be surprised if all 3 coordinators are not back next year?
Yeah, and he kind of backed out of it a little bit on Twitter too, saying well, they could get hired by other places or stuff like that. Here's the thing with this whole, because we haven't actually got to talk about this since that game, right? Because I talked about it with Jordan Renard in the interview, but was trying to get information out of him more than even have a conversation. I 100% believe the Jay Glazer report, right? He's the one person that I believe 100%. There is nothing that you can convince me to say that this stuff isn't real, right? But stuff has been added since from different parts. Again, I don't put as much stock in, but the Glazer report is more than enough to know that it's real, and he said it could be in season. So, like, it's not just something, it's not some, like, oh, yeah, everybody has arguments. Like, no, this is very real. But I do want to just talk about the situation with you. But to answer the question, you can mediate, but you can't be so heavily involved that you get a Judge Garrett situation. But fortunately, I think Shane is the middleman instead of Dave Gettleman. So you would, like, Wink won't, or hopefully won't be forced upon Daboll if Daboll just doesn't want to keep him, right? If Daboll is just, I don't want this guy as my defensive coordinator, then he shouldn't be the defensive coordinator because that's just going to lead to him being fired down the road. So if you want to do this, do it now. Here's the thing. I hope that Daboll does his best to salvage this instead of these guys having pissing contests for the next 5 weeks. And I just hope that there is an effort to get this done because to me, from what everyone says that it's like based out of, to me seems like petty shit. Whether it's yelling or the McKinney situation, that to me, that shit seems petty. Now, if they just have a differences of philosophy of how to attack football, one, Brian Daboll, why did you hire Wink Martindale? You knew exactly what you were getting with this guy. And if you're worried about all yelling and stuff like that, then like from Wink Martindale, kind of toughen up a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, if the differences in philosophies and stuff like that, I mean, Bobby, you and I work very differently than each other. We're kind of very different people. This is not to compare the operation of a football staff to a stupid little freaking Giants podcast, but I mean, this isn't the first time. It's not a foreign concept of people that have different philosophies and ways to go about things that they can't find a way to make things work. So I also agree that that's pretty petty. If it was like philosophical football stuff and like approaches to things, how come maybe it wasn't a talking point last year? It seemed to be working fine last year. I get it. It's when you're winning, and winning kind of heals everything, right? And when you're losing, it brings out the worst in people. Man, this is where I'm at. Figure it out. A quick question for you. Do you feel like Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale are advantages to have on the New York Giants?
Absolutely. And we have a question about Kafka later where I'm going to pose a question to people that I don't think anyone can answer if they want him gone. Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, I think there's disadvantages and disadvantages to what Wink does, but I think Wink has, for the most part, gotten the most out of his players, right? Yeah. And I don't think any of these players aren't like say if they went to a Leslie Frazier defense, I really don't look at any of these players and like, well, they don't fit that scheme. You say, right. Well, they got Deontay Banks press man. Deontay Banks is better in zone right now than he is in man coverage. I think
that's what Leslie Frazier does, right? Zone coverage.
Yeah, and you can mix in and a lot of zone has man principles, especially for outside cornerbacks.
Cordell Flott would be in trouble.
Yeah, I was actually talking with somebody. Flott is basically the one guy, and honestly, as much as Flott plays well, I need a nickel corner to play the damn run for one.
Yeah. Is Flott even like Flott a is the piece one of the guy. Future?
I don't know. Now, Flott, again, I think Flott has like played halfway decently, so I don't want to throw him away. But he's the one player who would suffer the most if they made a coaching change to someone like Leslie Frazier. But I like what Wink Martindale does. I like how he attacks and goes after teams, and he's proven that when he has the personnel, he doesn't need the best personnel in the NFL, but he's proven that when he has personnel, he can have a number one defense in the NFL. Now, Leslie Frazier has had that too. But I prefer the Wink, and I think the NFL is going to evolve a little bit back into the Wink Martindale defenses having the advantage. So, and Wink changes it up though too, right? Like Wink has changed it up the last month or so without certain personnel.
Yep. You know how good the Ravens defense has been over the last 6-7 weeks? They've been the best defense in the NFL, especially now with the Browns kind of falling apart the last couple of weeks defensively. Their offense is not good. See how those two things work interchangeably? In the first half of games, during weeks 6 to 12, the Giants have the third best defense in the league in the first half of games. Why do I bring up the first half of games? Because usually the game script is very neutral, right? The Giants are still in the game after the first half, and The defense isn't totally tired out because the offense keeps going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and can't put any points up on the board. I find that to be extremely impressive. Extremely impressive over, they did have a rough start, and I think that from that week 6, I think week 5 was the Miami game, which was a really, really bad game for that defense. And Miami's a really good offense. It's really impressive, and I hope that my overall message just is this is like a fan. I'm just like a fan right now. Figure it out. Figure it out. Make it happen. Make it work, because where it's not. This isn't like Patrick Graham. Oh, I hope we can keep Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham, you can move on for Patrick Graham and find an upgrade, even though we liked Patrick Graham a couple years ago. Wink Martindale, for around a half decade now, has been a top defensive coordinator in the National Football League. In a National Football League that keeps changing and keeps evolving from 2018 all the way up into 2023. And like you said, it's kind of evolving back into the style of the Wink Martindale defenses now, rather than the too high, let's just solely avoid the explosive pass play while teams are churning away 10, 11, 12 play drives, right? Wink Martindale's been an advantage for a half decade now as a defense coordinator, outside of 1 year where everybody on the Baltimore Ravens got hurt. Everybody on the Baltimore Ravens got hurt. I know we have a Mike Kafka question later too, but Mike Kafka, we were praising him last year as we're guiding an offense that's an average offense scoring wise, and especially a top 10 red zone defense in the National Football League. Where, what's the one thing that we said when Garrett was here as an offense coordinator? Can't score in the red zone. We have the last red zone offense in the National Football League in 2021. 2022, we're top 10. And what is required inside the red zone to really be an advantage and have like a good offense in the red zone? I think it's play calling. I think it's play calling and execution. And Mike Kafka was part of that. And I still think Mike Kafka, even this year, is still calling a decently good offense, and they've had to adjust to having a historically bad offensive line, a quarterback that did not take a step up like they wanted to, 3 different quarterbacks, and now we're at a point where Tommy DeVito, a UDFA, is now helping win games and producing some big explosive pass plays, and they're willingly taking sacks and not being stubborn in their own ways, and are continuing to adjust. Figure it out, because these guys are advantages for the Giants. They're advantages. And I would hate especially if both of them walked away. That's a really bad look on Brian Daboll.
Sometimes people say bad look, and it's like, well, what does the bad look mean? I think it's just bad. It's a bad thing to happen. It's not like, again, like you said, I hope both these guys figure out. And I think it takes effort from both sides, too. I don't think this is one-sided on Daboll. And, again, this is real, too. Like, I want to emphasize that this isn't just, like, when Jay Glazer says something about the New York Giants, you take it as 100% fact. Yeah. Like, if the I know there was a clip going around about from a Colin Coward's, like, one of his podcasts. Like, maybe that guy's true, but like I see that and I don't take much weight in it, right? But when Jay Glazer says that it could be a divorce in season, like the idea that that's not real, that's just media. Like, what does Jay Glazer need media clicks for on his Fox NFL show where he doesn't write articles? He says the shit 10 minutes before the game start and it's over. Like, no. Jay Glazer does not make shit up, and he doesn't exaggerate either.
You think now here's the thing, if Wink Martindale retires, I don't think he gets the remainder of his contract, versus if he's fired, he will be owed the remainder of the money that's on his contract.
Well, they could also just have a mutual partings, and Wink will get a defensive coordinator job like that. So,
well, he may not want a defense coordinator job. He may just like, all right, this is it.
I don't think that, but that's not how coaches don't do that. They die. They coach and then they die.
It's true.
I don't think Wink Martindale's any different.
It's true. All right, want to move on to the next question?
Next question.
This will be. I have a feeling this will be an evolving story, and we're going to be talking about it and following it every single week, because it really is more than actually the play on the field. It is the most important thing that's happening inside those walls right now, I feel. Deke Freak 72 at JJ Deke Freak 72. What are your thoughts about the wide receiver core for the future with the way that Hyatt and Robinson have played recently? Is it to say that they just need a number one X receiver?
I agree with that for the most part, right? Like, obviously you can have upgrades, but Wandale has improved and on film, and it showed with DJ and Tyrod in the numbers, even though he didn't have like crazy numbers, but he looked good, right? Like, and I think he'd be more capable of some explosive plays more explosives than like the typical short slot guys with, bigger, if you had like a bigger arm QB or someone who kind of did a little more freelancing and creating in the pocket. Now I still don't like that he's 5'8" with the shortest arms in combine history, and it makes him a small target, and you have to be perfect throwing the ball to him on some of the quick game stuff. But he's done enough that I want to continue with that investment in the slot position, right? Like, he improved his craft, I thought, significantly while coming off of an ACL tear. Like, that was my biggest worry with Wan'Dale. Is like, he had all these like little things that he had to get better at to be like a top slot receiver. He improved greatly on those things with the ACL tear. So imagine him getting an off season, without having to deal with that. So Wan'Dale, I'm fine. Like, I could slay him in at slot wide receiver, and I feel good about it for next year.
Yeah, I'm still a little worried just about the durability of him in general, the more hits that he takes and the more targets that he gets. So I'm not, I still want to look for another guy that we can put in at slot for next year, but obviously not to replace Wan'Dale. I think I would like it to complement Wan'Dale Robinson. What's really impressive to me, Bobby, Arjun Manan put out a wide receiver's rate of getting open versus single man coverage in 2023. Minimum 45 snaps versus single man coverage. Wan'Dale Robinson is leading the National Football League right now with the 56.4% open rate. That is a total of 44 times open this year in single-man coverage. Now, obviously, that stat is a little bit more biased towards slot receivers because those guys are a little bit smaller and shifty, but Wan'Dale Robinson's doing his job, and he is getting open this year. And I love the point of he is going to have this offseason not to rehab his knee. He's going to have this offseason to fully lock in, whether it's get bigger, get stronger, get faster, and also improve on his craft and route running. He's going to have that full offseason to do it, not rehabbing a knee, and hopefully he's going to come out next year and be even better with hopefully better quarterback play.
Agreed. And then Jalen Hyatt, I think is a valuable piece in the NFL now. That's been established, and again, it'll only prove more so with hopefully better QB and offensive line play. Now Hyatt's miles away from being a wide receiver one, but he makes tough catches. We know what he's able to, an explosive threat. I want to see him do more versus cushion and just in your regular route running stuff. But again, like, he's a valuable piece, like, in the NFL. That's a given, right? Want him to have some more consistency, but I think that will come with some time, with some more consistent quarterback play, offensive line play, which again, it's not a guarantee that the Giants get upgrades there, but we sure as hell hope so. And then Darius Slayton is the best right now, and he should be on this team until they have a proven wide receiver one, and as long as he's cheap like he is. But yeah, this team I think is a wide receiver one away from having a good wide receiver room, right? And you don't need an amazing wide receiver room to compete for Super Bowls, but a wide receiver one, again, makes everyone around him better. And Justin, a little spoiler for the mock draft video this next week, I think there's wide receiver one talent in the second round. Oh, I really do, man. Like, you'd hear all the names. There's a guy we looked at, and I'm putting him in the mock draft. I won't say the name because I don't want to spoil. There's a guy we looked at in the summer who I had as like a late first rounder, and there's like consistently like 8 guys ranked ahead of him when you look at the simulators, right? And you look at those names, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. Like Mbuka, Marvin Harrison, O'Dunes. Like, then there's other guys that are all, Malik Neighbors. Those guys are popping up. Those are all guys we looked at too in the summer. I actually think I think there's going to be a wide receiver one in the NFL taken in the second round this year, and the Giants will have a high one and a mid-round one too, so they can look at O-line and wide receivers play. So, yeah, I think they're wide receiver one away from having a really solid receiver room, but you do have to go out and get that right too. Yeah,
I'm really excited for Hyatt, and one of the things that I'm really excited for Hyatt is if you get a quarterback in here that, like, this is not Daniel Jones' strength. It's never really been Daniel Jones' strength. Thought that maybe in 2022 he would start to turn it into not a strength, but just a part of his game of improvising in a play and then, like, throwing on the run or throwing outside the pocket. And I mean, that's when you see plays break down. That's when you see, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's when you see these guys produce these big plays, is when plays break down and you break the pocket, and then, your wide receivers and your quarterback just have the connection to find each other, come back to the ball, and it results in these big plays. And that's where I feel like Hyatt with his speed is just going to be such a weapon in that department because I think that's where he's going to get the separation deep down the field. Interesting with Darius Slayton, Bobby, $6 million in cap savings, only $1.75 million in dead money. I know he's cheap, but I think that's tempting for Joe Schoen.
I don't think, again, do not cut your best player at a position until you have a proven wide receiver 1 replacement. To me, that cap money is not worth it. How many times does this guy have to lead the team receiving and be their wide receiver 1 before it's like, hey, you know what? We'll keep him until we have an actual plan.
Maybe it's a post. If it's a post June 1st move and they wait until after the draft, then it's $6 million in cap savings. Maybe they should just trade him if he's on the. If they draft like a legit wide receiver 1 and they're really happy, they should keep Darius Slayton.
If someone wants to trade a 3rd round pick, even then a 3rd round pick, I don't know if I'm trading that for Slayton until you're confident. Again,
he's 26. He's going to be 27 next year. He's got a lot of good years left.
Yeah, you don't think Slayton could be valuable if they get a young QB? Like, you got to have somebody to throw the ball to, right? And right now, Darius Slayton's a better receiver than Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
And although he's not the explosive play threat that Jalen Hyatt is, he is an explosive play threat. It's just Jalen Hyatt's on a different level.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
How about getting Slayton more involved in the deep passing game department? I feel like, man, where's that been? Slayton, I'm pretty sure Slayton can run these similar routes that Jalen Hyatt's running, and I guarantee he'll be open on some of them. It's kind of crazy. All right, we have an ad. We're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about the farmer's dog. The results of switching your dog's food from kibble to fresh can seem like magic. But the farmer's dog doesn't use any sorcery or secret ingredients to make their fresh food. Just science. My dog, every day, it gets to 7 a.m., maybe 8 a.m. on the weekends, if he's nice and he lets me sleep in, freaks out. His mental clock is on. 4:45 p.m., I got to yell at him because he's like begging me. He gives me those eyes. He starts scratching me with his paw. Like, come on, I need it. I'll tell you what, farmer's dog's like crack. Not to me, but to my dog. Farmer's dog is like crack because he just knows and he gets so excited. He gets in it. He gets needed. He motorboats that farmer's dog, and it's just great because it's developed by vets. It's nutritionally balanced and made from real healthy ingredients to human food safety standards. That's right. You didn't think you'd hear motorboating in a farmer's dog ad, but you did. It doesn't matter if your dog is young or old. It's always the right time to begin investing in their health, helping you live a more healthy, happy, and full years together. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/JohnBoy. Plus, you get free shipping. That's thefarmersdog.com/JohnBoy for 50% off. You'll be glad you did. Your dog will be glad they did too. Are you ready for the next question?
Be glad you did. Next question.
Alec A at NYG Alex 626. Or excuse me, it's NYG Alltex 626. What players do you want to see more out of in the final 5 games and why?
All right, so I put for this, we have to pick 3, and at least one of them has to not be a rookie, because I started going through it, and then I was like, Deontay Banks, John Michael Smith. It's like, oh, the first 3 picks of the draft. We just talked about it at this last one, but number 1 for me was Jalen Hyatt. I want to see him more in the progressions, not just alerts, and hit something that isn't, something that isn't like a go or an over or deep over, or something that's just like underneath versus way off zone coverage. I want to see him be more in progressions. We don't have to spend a million, a lot of time on these questions. But 1 for me would be Jalen Hyatt. How about you?
I mean, one of them will be for Wan'Dale Robinson for me, 100%. Maybe even Darius Slayton too. You know what? We already talked about Wan'Dale, and we said, oh, we're happy with Wan'Dale's season. I'm gonna put Darius Slayton in there. It doesn't feel like he's leading the team in receiving, but he is because he's just available. And he's there every game.
And he's wide receiver 1.
And he's wide receiver 1. I'll go next. Can I go next?
Yeah, go next.
Jason Pinnock.
I thought about putting Pinnock on there.
It's not that I want to see more. It's just that I kind of want to continue to see it and maybe continue to make some more plays. I think he's a real, I'm saying the word advantage a lot today. I think he's an advantage in the run game. I think he's very good coming up and playing the run. I don't want to say he's a great tackler because I think I can remember sometimes this year him missing some tackles down the field and leads to some big plays. But I like Jason Pinnock. And as an option of, like, you want to talk about a safety number 2 starter who you feel confident and good about, or at least good enough about, where this guy was taken off the scrap heap from the Jets practice squad. You're paying him cheap, and you got him here for the next couple of years. And we're not going to go into this offseason saying, oh, we really need that second safety. Screw it. Like, Jason Pinnock, you're here, man. And like that's a really good pickup, and that's a good player.
Yeah, I think he's a solid. I mean, Pinnock would not stop me from upgrading.
But you're not going into the offseason saying the Giants just need a number 2 safety, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Point.
So Pinnock was a great pickup after 53-man cutdown day last year. So, yeah, absolutely not. In fact, it kind of makes me mad because it's like I would love to have that need so I can be more in love with Cam Kitchens out of Miami, but I'm not allowed to because there's no way the Giants are taking a safety that high. I probably wouldn't advise that either. My Cam Kitchens dreams were that the Giants were going to have a late second-round pick this year, and that's not going to happen. And one, he's not going to go late in the second round, and then 2, we suck.
They have a pseudo mid second round pick with the Seahawks.
Yeah, but I don't know if safety. I think Cam Kitchens will probably be the first safety off the board.
Oh,
I'm saying this as watching 2 safeties for all of them. So
McKinney not back.
Pretty assumptuous of me. Yeah, maybe McKinney's not back. We'll talk about that. Actually, that leads into it. Xavier McKinney had his best game under Wink versus the Patriots, right? He had the interception, which was a great play. He had that center field play, was a great play. The Deontay Banks interception, that was a better Xavier McKinney play than it was the Deontay Banks play. Like, that was great, instinctive, baiting a quarterback into a play, and he undercut that shit, and Jones just overthrew it, so Banks got the interception instead of McKinney getting at least a pass breakup. So, but I want to see it more. Like, if the Giants bring Xavier McKinney back, I want it to be back because you're thriving and not just simply a good player. Because McKinney, up until this last week, was simply a good player, not thriving in this scheme. He's a good player in the box. He's a good coverage player, but he hasn't been a thriving coverage player under the Wink Martindale scheme. So, like, especially if the Giants do make a defensive coordinator change, I want McKinney around for it. As much as I've railed against McKinney and annoys the shit out of me at times, I do want him back on the Giants. So McKinney is one. My last would be JMS. Like, played well in pass pro versus the Patriots.
You gave 2 rookies.
And I said you have to have one who's not a rookie. Or did I type that wrong?
You said at least one non-rookie. You gave me 2 rookies because you said higher than JMS.
At least one non-rookie. I gave you one in McKinney.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 non-rookies. I'll be better. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just put together some amazing games overall, JMS, which I haven't seen that. Besides maybe the Cardinals game wasn't even an amazing game. It was a really good game. Like, I want to see some amazing games out of JMS to finish this season.
My final guy, I kind of wanted to go Evan Neal, but then it's like, no. So how about Azeez Ojulari? Do you exist? What's happening?
The thing is with Ojulari that even if he plays well, it doesn't even matter because it's injuries.
But like, he's out there. And the thing last year was that, man, if only he can get out there more, he'll be good. Look at how good he was. He was even hurt last year, and he was getting all these sacks, and he was causing havoc. Not saying that he's not struggling with injuries this year, even coming back from an injury, but like, man, like,
he's looked bad.
Jihad Ward and Boogie Basham and your boy are like getting reps over him.
Boogie Basham, healthy scratch ass.
All these guys are practice squad guys are playing above him, getting reps, splitting reps with him. It's not good.
Yeah, he has not looked good since coming back, which is like, it's the first time in Aziz's career where he just doesn't look good. All right, next question.
Next question. Samuel Kirk at Sam_Kirk013. Hey, Bobby and Justin. Met you all at the Senior Bowl. Hope you are having a nice holiday season. Oh, Sam, nice to meet you at the Senior Bowl. We're going back to the Senior Bowl. Really excited. Was wondering why there hasn't been much talk on Kafka's failures this year. Received praise and got interviews for head coaching jobs last offseason. Why has he kind of flown under the radar blame-wise?
Well, he's adjusted and he's done different things. He's added different things for all 3 QBs. My one critique is I want to see the run game get better and find an identity. But they've also had some in-game adjustments to that too. Here's my thing. Tell me which player is performing worse than expectations because of the play caller. If you want to say Daniel Jones, he got a $160 million contract under Mike Kafka, and he can't make the throws for him to open guys. Like, you look at, there is open guys on film. You can maybe say Saquon Barkley. But again, I think that has more to do with quarterback play, the way teams are playing them, and offensive line issues, especially when Andrew Thomas is out.
Yeah, I can't say because of play calling. Dude, it's tough because just the quarterback play just disrupts everything this year.
Yeah, where, again, under the last offensive coordinator, and you don't have to be as bad as Jason Garrett to be a bad offensive coordinator, but it's I could point to all these guys who were struggling because of the play caller. You can't, again, find me one. Nobody on the offensive line is struggling because of the offensive coordinator. The quarterback, people are calling for Tommy DeVito to start going forward. Who's the guy calling the plays for him? Again, so you can make the argument for Saquon, even though I don't agree with it. He's the only one you could. The receivers,
maybe Slayton, but again, it's quarterback play and offensive line play.
Yeah. So, I don't blame the offensive coordinator for this stuff, and I think they've adjusted. Dallas week 1 was not a good game plan, right? They thought that they were going to be wheeling and dealing, and the pressure got to them, and it showed up. They adjusted, and DJ did not. Again, I don't want to need to go back through all the DJ stuff.
Maybe that's the critique. They had an off season where they misevaluated Evan Neal. They misevaluated what the interior offensive line could be. They threw they threw Glowinski and Josh Azudu out there, and they wound up stinking it up. They 2 years in a row now, they've come out with the mentality of we're going to sling it across the yard and we're going to sling it across the field. And 2 years in a row now, they've had to adjust after having a certain period of offense that's been not great. Last year was better because they were winning games.
And they were running the ball up better last year.
And they were running the ball really well last year. But that's 2 years in a row now where that has been the issue. Now, I also put it on Daboll because Daboll's an offensive coach and Daboll's the head coach. I don't solely put it on Mike Kafka. Daboll and Mike Kafka are coming up with the game plan together. And all Mike Kafka is doing is just pushing the buttons of, out of these 25 second and 10 plays that we have, what play am I calling? That's what Mike Kafka does. And the only issue that I've had with Mike Kafka the last 2 years is getting a little too run heavy on early downs. That was even this year where Bobby, there was a point this year where I'm like, stop playing afraid of the sack. Stop. You're admitting defeat when you're running on 2nd and 10, and then you're going to lose 2 yards because this rushing offense sucks. And then you're only going to take a sack on 3rd and long anyway. And then lo and behold, the offense finally stops playing afraid of the sack against Tommy DeVito, and it starts to look a little bit better. So kudos to me for being frustrated at that. That's the only time over the last 2 years where I'm like, Mike Kafka, stop.
And last year when they got so heavy play, they couldn't. They stopped. They were dying on the play action and working on any downhill.
But again, they adjusted. They adjusted from it.
Yep. All right, next question.
Doug Analytics, Doug_Analytics. What individual/team statistics would you like to improve for the remainder of the season?
Mine is what I was just talking about before. Run game efficiency. Not the rushing total, but run game. Their yards per carry is 3.9. That's bad. I was looking at some stuff because I wanted to see, so at first I was like, oh my God, Saquon has the worst EPA, or the Giants have the worst EPA per play in the NFL on rushing attempts with Tommy DeVito. And then I was like, well, let me see what it's for the season. Also the worst in the NFL. Saquon is 45th of 45 in success rates, according to Pro Football Reference, which kind of measures it by down and distance and what a successful run is on those plays. You have Saquon Barkley. I don't think we can watch any of Saquon Barkley's film and say, oh, he's messing this up. And maybe a play here or there. But for the most part, Saquon's playing very well. You got to get your running game more efficient. It has to be. Now, teams are playing heavy the run. But I feel like there's teams that are going to get heavy. Jeff Nixon, who's going to go be the Syracuse offensive coordinator. People knew the Panthers were going to be run heavy the second half of last season, but they were still able to run the ball well, right? There's it's not just they're trying to stop the run, we're screwed. There is ways to run the ball well. So running efficiency, not rushing total, Not, got to put the ball in Saquon's hand more. Rushing efficiency, because we should not be the worst rushing team in the NFL, which the Giants are, in my opinion.
I want to be better on early downs. I want to be better on first and second downs, so we're not constantly relying on third and 13 explosive pass plays to move the chains. Let's stay ahead of the sticks. I like continuing to be a little bit more explosive. That's been nice. I don't necessarily know what we've been ranking with Tommy DeVito, but it's been more explosive. Hasn't been much more explosive than what Tyrod Taylor was doing, but it's been nice. I just want to score more points. I mean, I'm not even going to go into this situation, this context, this that. This Giants offense needs to score more points, because I think that is going to be a way to keep my Kafka in the building, and it will hopefully be a way to keep Wink Martindale in the building, where it's like, hey, I'm reaching my hand out these final 5 games of the season. We're going to score more points. We're going to help out your defense, and your defense, hey, you continue to ball out in the first half, and maybe if the game script is in a good spot, then we'll stop going 3 and out. Then maybe the whole team will be in a better spot for it. Score more points. I just took it. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but Giants offense is bad.
Next question.
The Restoring Masculinity podcast, Restore Mask Pod. Why do you think the NFL is fining everyone so frivolously this year?
Dude, I feel like people need to be more angry about this. The NFL is stealing from their players. They're finding guys every single week, like for just regular football plays, not like malicious. Like, why is the union not making a bigger deal of this? Like, I don't understand why this is like so, to me, quietly happening. Like, I feel like they're just stealing from their players, and every time I see it, I get mad. And I don't get less mad than the time before. I get mad every single time. They're stealing from their players. Why aren't more people talking about this?
Carter Coughlin, more than $5,000, almost $6,000 on that nice tackle that he had in the kick return.
Running backs. They're giving it to running backs who like put their shoulder through a guy.
Why? What was the rule change that changed this offseason?
Did you see the Amon-Ra St. Brown block last week that they fined him for?
Yeah.
It was like it's like if you told me that who got the fine for this play, you wouldn't have been able to tell you. Like it's crazy.
What was the rule change that there had to be some rule change that this is derived from, that they're
NFLPA sucks and the NFL gets to do whatever they want. Dude,
I hope
the NFLPA should be railing against this loudly, and you don't hear shit from them. Unless the player gets directly involved in it, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, you don't hear anything about it.
That's probably Carter Coughlin's I don't know the math, but it's probably a good part of Carter Coughlin's game check that he just got taken away from him. I hope that some of these owners are like, this is bullshit. I will pay this fine for you. I don't know if they can do that, but
I don't know if you're legally allowed to do that, but it drives me nuts every time I see it.
DK Metcalf literally has learned sign language to avoid fines.
Yeah. Standing on business. How you stand on business, Sauce Gardner? How's things going over there in Jets land? All right, before we get into the next question, Justin, this episode is brought to you by DraftKings. Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count, people. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning big bucks. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting 5 on any matchup. By the way, we haven't got the spread picks will be later in the week. The last 5 weeks, I'm like 7 or 9 games above 500. I just want to say that. I'm not bragging. I just do want to say that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WORLD. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 in football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code WORLD. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Blue Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Be glad you did. All right, last question.
Oh, Bobby Skinner, some schmuck at Bobby Skinner _. What will you guys bet on Miami-Rutgers in Yankee Stadium for the Pinstripe Bowl? So how I think this works is I think you would need to place a Rutgers bet for me, and I would need to place a Miami bet for you.
What?
I can't bet on Rutgers in the state of New Jersey.
No, I'm not saying like actual betting money. Like it's a mayor's bet. Like we bet something.
Oh, shout out DraftKings.
You can't bet in the state of Florida either.
No.
I didn't know that you couldn't bet on Rutgers in the state of New Jersey.
No, you can't bet on New Jersey college athletics in the state of New Jersey.
I kind of like that law, to be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, what if I'm the whatever quarterback? I can just message my entire family, be like, "Here's the first play," and then boom, there's the play result.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Here's the thing: it's in Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
I feel like we should be pitching to the company that we should do a JM live from Yankee Stadium before the game, make a bunch of content. I mean, it's Miami versus Rutgers in Yankee Stadium. When is that ever going to happen again, Justin Bennett?
I think you should pitch it. I'm down.
I think you should pitch it.
No. All I would need to do is get in my car and drive up to Yankee Stadium. There's a lot more for you involved in this.
We got to pitch it.
You pitch it. Pitch it.
I'm not there. I never get their ear to pitch it.
Oh, that's not true. That's not
a
true.
fact. That is a fact. Anything I say untrue.
It's funny how we're saying pitch it, and the game is being played at Yankee Stadium. What do you do in baseball? Pitch.
Not me. I hit.
I'm a good pitcher.
Yeah. So all right. There you go. You pitch it. I'll hit it. You pitch the deal. I'll hit the deal. How about that?
Nice. Oh,
I feel like we got to
hearing
do something for that. Should we live stream on JM Football for that game?
I shouldn't be saying this out loud because I didn't even tell you when we're not recording.
What do you mean?
I'm hearing good things about the month of February and something that we want to do.
NASCAR?
I didn't say that.
But are you hinting at that?
You didn't hear me say any words. I'm hearing good things.
About stuff like this.
It has something to do with that.
What about this? This is a new one I just got.
That's related, yeah.
What about Miami-Rutgers in Yankee Stadium?
Nah, nothing on that yet. But if you like car content from us... Oh, I was told recently, stop naming episodes live from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Wait, what?
I was told recently, because we've named... Oh, no, we've only named... Oh, because we also had the NASCAR episode that we filmed in Chicago. I was told recently, stop naming episodes with NASCAR-related titles.
Well, what are we going to call those episodes when we do
I agree. I kind of don't want to listen to the data people at John Boy Media.
Yeah, is the show where we're doing NASCAR content about a Giants podcast? It's not the name. It's the subject matter. We understand that. Like, to the point where we're never going to do, like, what we did in Chicago ever again. Like, we'll just have to do a Giants podcast from a NASCAR place.
Yes.
Which, again, the Charlotte Motor Speedway one was that. So we could have changed the title of that one. But that one was legend. That's a legendary podcast because
Mr. Brownstone saved the 2022 season.
Yeah, you could. Oh, didn't get many downloads. Well, how many downloads did the playoff victory get? That doesn't happen without that. So
true.
You guys want to get to 4 without adding the 1 to 3. Anyways,
that's an interview.
By the way, I thank you everyone for supporting the Justin Pugh stuff. That was good. A good look for us.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
So everyone who went and tweeted at him, subscribed to his channel, I appreciate all that. So, and we'll see you at our Daytona live show podcast. And dude, we have to do something, or even if it's just a bet, like a stupid, like if they win, if Miami wins, you do this. If Rutgers wins, I do this.
All right, we'll think of something.
Send us comments and tweets of recommendations.
Comment on this podcast below and let us know bets and things that we should do.
Jeremy is a Yankees fan or Giants fan. If you're listening to this podcast, Jeremy, get our asses in Yankee Stadium for a JM
say his
Live.
name right.
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Oh
my, yeah, that's better.
All right, that's an episode.
That's an interview.
We will. we'll be back Friday for a preview pod for the Packers on Monday Night Football. And I hope that we are in Yankee Stadium for Miami-Rutgers. But we're probably not going to be. Until then, let's go Big Blue.